سريع للأعداء. ظهر جنود الأعداء. ظهر جنود الأعداء. تحركات الأعداء. هل تسمعوني؟ سريع للأعداء.
طائرة بدون سيار تعمل. بدأت البحث.
شوهدت قوات جنود الأعداء. سريع للأعداء. اللعنة. قوات أعداء. جميع المناطق. الموقع تحت السيطرة. انتهى. فقط أحد الرجال. تم التعرف على سرية الأعداء. هل تسمعوني؟ لا سيد. فقط أحد الرجال. ظهر جنود الأعداء على النقاط.
جاري البث الحي من الطائرة بدون سيار.
فقط أحد الرجال. تم مسح جميع المناطق. فقط أحد الموقع تحت السيطرة. انتهى. شكرا لك. جنود الأعداء على الأرض.
جاري البث الحي من الطائرة بدون سيار.
جنود الأعداء. حول. قوات الأعداء. حول. فقط أحد الرجال. فقط أحد الرجال.
بدأت البث.
ظهر جنود الأعداء. هل تسمعوني؟ شوهدت قوات الأعداء. المسلم. قوات الأعداء. ظهر جنود الأعداء. هل تسمعوني؟ تحركات الأعداء. ظهر جنود الأعداء.
جاري البث الحي من الطائرة.
تحركات الأعداء. ظهر جنود الأعداء. القوات تحركات الأعداء تتحرك.
جاري البث الحي من الطائرة بدون سيار.
وحدات تحركات الأعداء، هل تسمعني؟ شوهد القوات شوهد القوات الأعداء. ضغط الأعداء حول. تم التحرك على الأعداء. وحدات الأعداء تتحرك. شوهدت قوات الأعداء. وحدات السيطرة على إحدى النقاط. ظهر جنود الأعداء. أدين لك بواحدة. فقد أحد الرجال.
جاري البث الحي من الطائرة بدون سيار.
شوهدت قوات الأعداء. شوهدت قوات الأعداء. ظهر جنود الأعداء.
نحتاج إسعافات أولية هنا.
جنود الأعداء على الأرض. تحركات الأعداء. شوهدت قوات. شوهدت. ظهر جنود الأعداء. تحركات الأعداء.
سيار كامل. بدأت البث.
صفقة جيدة. شكرا. ظهر جنود الأعداء. ظهر جنود الأعداء. شكرا أيها البطل. شوهدت قوات الأعداء. ظهر جنود الأعداء.
جاري البث الحي من الطائرة بدون سيار.
تم فتح المنطقة وهي تحت السيطرة. تحركات الأعداء على الأرض. تحركات الأعداء تتحرك. تحركات الأعداء، هل تسمعون؟ الأعداء. تم التعرف على سرية الأعداء، هل تسمعوني؟ تم التعرف على سرية الأعداء، هل تسمعوني؟ أحضروا المساعدة أحد الرجال. الأعداء على الأرض. تعتذر، لقد أخطأت.
نحتاج إسعافات أولية. أحضر الإسعافات الأولية إلى هنا.
تحركات الأعداء، هل تسمعوني؟ تحركات الأعداء، هل تسمعوني؟ أحضروا. شوهدت قوات الأعداء.
جاري البث الحي من الطائرة بدون
تم
سيار.
الاستيلاء على جنود الأعداء. لا سيدي. ظهر جنود الأعداء. وحدات الأعداء. تحركات الأعداء. تتحرك. شكرا لك.
الطائرة بدون سيار
جنود الأعداء على
كامل.
الأرض.
بدأت البث.
شوهدت ظهر جنود الأعداء. جنود الأعداء على الأرض. وحدات الأعداء تتحرك. ظهرت قوات الأعداء. حول. ظهر قائد للأعداء. سرية للأعداء. تم التعرف على سرية الأعداء، هل تسمعوني؟ شكرا لك.
جاري البث الحي من الطائرة بدون سيار.
وحدات الأعداء تتحرك. تحركات للأعداء، هل تسمعوني؟ شوهد قناص من الأعداء. تعتذر، لقد أخطأت. سرية للأعداء. تحركات للأعداء، هل تسمعوني؟ آسف زميل. علم. فليتحرك. نحتاج إلى دعم، هل تسمعني؟ نفذت التغيير اليمين، أدفعني، هل
صار
تسمعني؟
بدون سيار تعمل. بدأت البث.
نفذت التغيير اليمين، هل تسمعني؟ سريا للأعداء، سريا للأعداء. ظهر جنود الأعداء.
جاري البث الحي من
تم
الدائرة
مسح
بدون
جميع
سيار.
المناطق. الموقع تحت السيطرة. انتهى. وحدات الأعداء تتحرك. تحركات الأعداء، هل تسمعوني؟ New commander is on duty.
UAV transmitting on supply.
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy troops. Enemy activity. Do you copy? Enemy units on the move. Hit it. Enemy units on the move. Medic. 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 Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Medic. Spotted. Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Enemy infantry. Spotted.
UAV transmitting on
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Medic. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces 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 spotted.
online and now.
Enemy spotted. Hey, thanks. All clear. Position under control. Out. Enemy forces over. Units on the move. Hostiles on the ground. Enemy troops on the ground. Enemy units on the move. Enemy infantry. Spotted. All clear. Thanks. Position under control. Out. Enemy troops. Enemy troops on the ground. Medic. Sniper. Enemy troops. Enemy activity. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Thanks, champ.
on this mark.
Requesting ammunition. Over. All clear. Position under control. Out.
Clear.
Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry troops on the ground. Enemy forces. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy sniper spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy sniper spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy activity. Do you copy?
UAV transmitting.
Enemy troops. Enemy forces. Over. Hostile enemy hostiles on the ground. Medic! Enemy forces. Over. I owe you one. Thanks. I owe you one. Enemy forces spotted. Sniper spotted. Medic.
Hostiles on the ground.
Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Medic! Enemy troops. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy sniper spotted. Enemy sniper spotted. Medic. Thanks. I owe you one. Supplies at your position. Enemy sniper. I owe you one. They've lost control of an outpost. Grenade! Enemy forces, over. Enemy sniper spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Let's move.
Clear.
Enemy sniper spotted. Enemy sniper spotted. Enemy infantry spotted.
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces over. Enemy forces over. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces over. Good deal. Enemy forces over. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy spotted. Medic. Enemy forces over. Supplies at your position. All clear. Enemy activity. Enemy infantry spotted. Outpost is being overrun. Enemy infantry spotted. Outpost is being overrun. Position cleared and under control.
UAV online and transmitting.
Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Medic. Okay, got it. No way, man. Okay. Hostile sniper spotted. Over.
Transmitting on this mark.
Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. All clear. Hostile sniper spotted. Over. Enemy activity. Do you copy? All clear. Position under control. Out. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. spotted. Enemy air forces being captured. Enemy infantry being overrun. Hostiles on the ground. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Thanks. Enemy forces spotted.
UAV.
Enemy spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Medic. Enemy activity. Do you copy? Enemy troop. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry. Enemy spotted. Enemy forces spotted.
UAV online and transmitting.
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Hostiles on the ground. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy activity. Enemy activity. Do you copy? Enemy activity. Do you copy? Enemy forces over.
UAV.
Enemy forces. Enemy forces. Enemy infantry spotted.
UAV online and
Hostile forces spotted. Over. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy activity. Do you copy? Medic. Enemy unit on the move. Enemy activity. Enemy unit on the move. We've lost control of an outpost. Medic. Enemy forces over. Hostile forces spotted. Over. I owe you one. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy units on the move. Thanks, Champ. Enemy infantry spotted. Over.
online and transmitting.
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Over. Enemy infantry. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted.
Transmitting on
Enemy snipers. Enemy spotted. Do you copy? Enemy units on soldiers. Enemy active. Enemy copy. Do you copy? Enemy forces. Enemy infantry. Enemy forces. Over. Spotted. Enemy forces over. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy forces spotted.
شكرا. أحضر الإسعافات الأولية إلى هنا.
We've lost control of an outpost. Medic. Hostile infantry spotted. Over.
UAV offline.
Enemy forces spotted. Good deal, thanks.
UAV transmitting on
Hostile forces spotted. Over. Enemy forces spotted. Over. Thanks. I owe you one. Enemy units on the move. Position under control. Out. Enemy snipers. Enemy forces. Enemy forces. Enemy infantry. Enemy forces. Enemy forces. Enemy infantry. Enemy forces. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Hostiles on the ground. Sorry, man. Enemy forces. Over. Hostile forces troops identified. Enemy forces. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy troops on the ground. Enemy troops.
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Back to the front.
spotted. Sniper! Sniper! Sniper!
Medic! Medic!
Hostile infantry spotted. Over.
Hey, thanks.
Sniper! Enemy! 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 Spotted! Spotted! Enemy! Enemy! Spotted! Spotted!
Good deal, thanks.
Enemy! 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 Infantry! Enemy! 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 Infantry! Spotted! Spotted! Enemy activity. Do you copy? Enemy troops infantry spotted. Over. Over. Enemy. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry. Hostile 40 troops identified. Do you copy? Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Hostile forces spotted. Over. Medic. Enemy infantry spotted.
Clear!
Enemy infantry spotted. Snipers. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy, enemy, 44, enemy, 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 infantry, over.
UAV transmitting.
Enemy, snipers on our perimeter. Enemy, enemy, snipers, enemy forces, enemy forces, spotted, spotted. Hostiles on the ground. Enemy forces, snipers spotted, over. Snipers on our perimeter, spotted. Enemy forces, enemy, 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 enemy forces, spotted. Enemy infantry, spotted. Hostile sniper spotted. Over. Enemy snipers. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Over. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Thanks, champ. Thanks. I owe you one. Enemy forces. Over. Over. All clear. Position under control. Out.
Transmission ended.
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy activity. Enemy activity spotted. Over. Good day. Enemy infantry. Enemy spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Do you copy? Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted.
هذا أحد الرجال.
Spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy troop. Hostile infantry spotted. Over.
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Enemy infantry. Enemy forces. Enemy infantry. Enemy forces. Enemy infantry. Over. Enemy forces. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Enemy forces. Enemy units on the move. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry. Enemy forces spotted. Over. Enemy infantry. Enemy forces over. Enemy units on the move. Snipers on our perimeter. Enemy activity being overrun. Enemy spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Medic.
نحتاج إسعافات أولية هنا.
We've lost control of an outpost. Hostiles on the ground. Enemy activity. Enemy forces over. Outpost.
UAV online and transmitting.
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces over. Enemy units on the move.
ammo! Here!
Medic! 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 Enemy activity. Do you copy? Enemy forces! Enemy forces spotted! Medic!
Transmitting on this mark.
Enemy units on the move! Supplies at your position. Cleared and under control. Hostile forces spotted. Hostile forces spotted. Forces over.
Grenade!
Hostile forces spotted. Over. Enemy units on the move. Do you copy?
Hostile enemy troops!
Hostile medic. Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Medic.
Online and transmitting.
Enemy forces spotted. Could you? Enemy forces spotted. Position cleared and under control. Hostile infantry spotted. Over. You got it. Okay. Medic. Hostile infantry spotted. Over.
UAV is bingo on fuel.
Medic. Hostile enemy activity. Do you copy? Enemy troop.
Online and transmitting.
Follow me, soldier. Go. Medic.
Medic!
Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Position cleared and under control. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Medic. Medic. Hostiles on the ground. Requesting ammunition. Over. Enemy forces. Over. Over. Outpost is being overrun.
Hit it! Get ammo! Here!
Move out! Attack here! Enemy forces! Over! Enemy units on the move! Move it! Hostiles on the ground! Enemy activity! Enemy troop! Hostile forces! Enemy forces! Spotted!
Get first aid! Get first aid! Here!
All clear. Position under control. Out.
UAV is bingo on fuel. Transmission ending.
Enemy forces. Over.
Transmitting on this mark.
Thanks.
Enemy spotted.
Get ammo! Here!
Enemy forces spotted. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Medic.
Clear! Live, buddy!
Hey, thanks.
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Enemy forces spotted. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Go! Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Medic! Sniper! Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy units. We've lost control of an outpost. Medic!
UAV online and transmitting.
Enemy sniper! Medic! Hey, thanks. Hostiles on the ground.
on this mark.
Requesting ammunition. Enemy activity. Do you copy? Sniper! Hostile forces. Sniper! You copy? Sniper! Hostile forces. Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Hostile forces. Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Enemy forces. Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Enemy forces. Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Medic! 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 Enemy infantry spotted.
Transmitting on
Enemy forces spotted. Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy infantry control. Enemy infantry cleared and under control. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy activity. Do you copy? Hostile forces spotted. Over. Medic! Medic!
UAV is bingo on.
Hostile forces spotted. Over. Requesting a medic. Over. Enemy unit. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Copy. Enemy forces. Over. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Hostiles on the ground. Medic!
Grenade! Requesting ammunition.
Medic! Medic! Outpost is being overrun. Medic! Outpost is being overrun. Enemy medic! Negatory. Medic! Supplies at your position.
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Enemy activity. You copy.
Running dry.
Position. Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Enemy activity. Do you copy? Medic! Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Medic! Medic! Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted.
UAV transmitting on this mark.
Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Medic! Enemy activity. Do you copy? Medic! Enemy units on the move. Enemy units on the move. Do you copy? Supplies at your position. Hostile forces. Enemy infantry. Enemy forces. Over. Medic. 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 Enemy forces spotted. Medic. Enemy forces spotted. Enemy forces spotted. Medic! Hostile forces spotted. Forces over. Enemy troops. under control. Out. Enemy forces. Over. Enemy units. Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? I owe you one. Enemy troops.
UAV online.
Hostile forces spotted. Over. Enemy units on the move. Hostile infantry spotted. Over. Hostile infantry. Hostile forces spotted. Over. Identified. Identified. Do you copy? Enemy units on the move. Enemy units on the move. Hostile infantry. Medic.
Frag grenade.
Enemy troops! Enemy units on the move! Enemy troops! Enemy units on the move! Medic!
UAV online and
Enemy troops! Medic! Enemy troops! We're losing men left and right. Do you medic? Being over. Medic! 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 Enemy troop! Medic! Thanks, Jim. Medic! Hostile infantry. Medic! Medic! Hostiles on the ground.
transmitting on this mark.
Grenade.
Medic!
Grenade.
Outpost hostile infantry spotted. Over. Medic! Medic! Enemy units on the move. Medic! Medic!
Running dry. Ammo here. Get ammo. Grenade.
Enemy troop! Medic! Medic!
UAV transmitting.
Get ammo here. Ammo here.
Medic! Medic! Hostile forces report. Over. Over. Hostiles on the ground.
Grenade. Frag grenade. Grenade. First aid. Here. Grenade.
Enemy troops identified. Medic! 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 Enemy troops! Enemy troops!
Ammo. First aid.
Medic to his position. Over. Hostiles on the ground. Enemy units on the move. Medic!
Ammo here.
Enemy troops identified. Do you copy? Hostile infantry spotted. Over.